Recently, I got to talk to my cousin's husband, who I actually find to be a very good conversationalist. And I'm reflecting about everything we've talked about and just thinking about what made him sort of like make me feel like I wanted to talk more. Everything he asked, everything he did sort of made me feel like I really enjoyed talking to him. And so I'm thinking back, and one of the primary things I think he did was ask really good questions. And the type of questions he would ask were primarily questions related to, I'd say, two things. Number one, it's sort of like very specific questions that are geared towards like that person in general. So I got a chance to watch him talk with other people and not just myself. And he would ask questions like related to their work or related to stories about their siblings, or just questions directed towards them that's more specific to them. Like, you can't ask just anybody those questions. So that's number one. And number two, I think a lot of the questions were sort of like related to origins, like, oh, how did this come about? When did you start doing this? And everyone likes a good origin story, and everyone likes telling a good origin story. So it was very fun to just sort of hear him talking to another person, hearing their stories that came out of that. Stuff that I wouldn't naturally ask myself. So it was definitely a good learning experience. And for me, he asked a really interesting question. It was, in the past 5 years, how have you changed? What has changed about you, and what have you sort of taken away from the past 5 years? And I think he related it to also just like me being like a person, like my adulthood life, like related to that transition from like early 20s to late 20s. So he made it more specific in that sense as well for me. And that to me was a very good question because I had to think about it a good amount. And my answer mostly related to, I'd say, like YouTube, just stuff that in the beginning I thought would be like very easy. I thought everything would go a certain way, but in reality, things are a bit more difficult than you would expect sometimes, and it takes more time to do certain things as well. And for me, discovering myself was a big part of that. Discovering what I like, discovering what I don't like, and also understanding more of what it is that I wanted, or like what I would need to do to get what I wanted. So those are like probably some of the biggest changes. It's a bit ambiguous, but I'll get into that more in like a different video. For now, I just want to focus on like the questions that he asked and just how to gear your questions towards that. Because I did find it very, very fun to talk to him. And I thought like, it wasn't just the questions, it was also the energy that he gave. He seemed genuinely interested and gave off this sort of energy that made me feel like I wanted to answer, made me feel like it was important for him to know. So that's another big thing, I'd say. For me lately these days, I've been pretty, I wouldn't say socially inept, but I'm definitely socially more calm. Like, I'm not trying as hard as I used to, but I do think it's a good idea to put in that effort and actually practice that social muscle in asking good questions and actually sort of practicing a tone of voice that encourages them to want to answer and shows that you're interested. It's not necessarily faking it, it's more so just like practicing that genuine interest and conveying it. So that is the conclusion I have come up with for my reflection. That is essentially what I would try to do more so the next time I get a chance to be in a social setting and talk to people. Not that I am like terrible at it, but it's always great to try to improve even more. And that was my reflection for yesterday. And for yesterday, I did do music stuff to a certain point before I had to go see my cousin again. It was kind of unexpected, a little last minute, so I didn't get as much done as I wanted to, but I did get the intro. I played the piano, the electric piano, and got the MIDI down for the intro of the next original that I'm creating. So that's good, and I just gotta keep doing it. It's late today, but I'll do my best to try to get some of the middle section in, and then I think tomorrow would be the day I just go ham and focus on my music original. There's a lot to do. I also need to apply for some Japan housing, so that's gonna be an interesting one. I'll probably talk about it later, but I think a lot of today was also taken up by a Sony ZV-E1 issue, or might not be an issue, but I consider it an issue. But I have contacted Sony and I will talk to them tomorrow and probably make a video about it pretty soon. Okay, I think that's pretty much all of the updates. These daily vlogs are definitely, I'm getting more used to them, which is really good. But I still need a lot of practice to talk more smoothly in front of the camera. Anyways, that's it. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.